Okay, care certificate, standard 2, your personal development. So, questionnaire, activity 2.1a. There are a range of different sources of support available to you that will help you to progress your learning and development in your role. Complete the diagram below to identify some of the sources of support that you could use or access. So there are like a spider diagram, and in the middle it says sources of support for my learning and development includes. So you can answer my manager, your trainer, co-workers or staff, especially senior staff, internet, and books or things in the library. And there are government agencies as well that can guide you, like CQC, health and safety executives. So there's loads that you can answer on this one. Question number 2, activity 2.1b. Creating a personal development plan, or PDP, is a step-by-step process and will involve you working with different people. Fill in the boxes below to describe the process for agreeing a personal development plan, and for each step, identify who will be involved in the process. So you got step 1, which is set your objectives. Then step 2, make your plan. Step 3, set the time scale. So the following people will be involved with your objectives: obviously yourself, and then your line manager, where you will be discussing what is your objective. And then next, for step 2, the following people will be involved: again, yourself, because this is making your plan. You can also get advice from your trainer, from your manager, or senior member of your staff. Set the time scale. Again, it's you, your manager, sometimes your tutor. For example, if you're doing NBQ, they'll be the one as well giving you deadlines. But most importantly, it's you who are setting your own time scale. Okay, next question, activity 2.1c. Learning is a process that involves us throughout our lives and not just at school. There are many different ways in which we can learn. For example, using feedback from others is a great way to learn and help us to develop and improve the way we work. Complete the sentence below to explain why feedback from others is so important for our learning process. Then on the side, it says there, try and use as many of the following words as possible in your explanation. So you got constructive, competence, confidence, knowledge, improvement, learning from others. All right. So feedback from others is important in helping me to develop it or improve, because so it's here already, feedback from others. So you can tick that one that you've used that word. So feedback from others is important because it helps you as an individual improve your knowledge and confidence, and it develops your skills and competence, especially constructive criticism. So it's like we've ticked most of the words there already, but you can make your own answer to this one. You don't need to use all of the suggested words, but the important thing is, why do you think that feedback from others is important? So sometimes we don't see things when we are the one looking at. So if others will say, oh, you did not do the bed properly, because we're the one doing it, we might miss something. But if you hear from others, take it constructively and then learn from it, and then later on find out that you develop a very good skills, not only making the bed, but establishing relationship with your colleagues and senior members of staff. So another way of saying feedback from others is important, because if you're new to a workplace, there's lots to learn. And if you're just trying to learn through training, it's not everything is being discussed. It's different when you're doing the actual job. And if you hear feedback from others, that's like an actual scenario. So there's what you call ideal during training, and then there's an actual scenario where during the training they say use this and use that, but in the actual scenario maybe there's an alternative, or that sort of equipment is not available. A perfect example is slide sheet. There's tubular and there's like a paired slide sheet. So in your workplace, perhaps you're using the tubular, and then during training they showed you the paired slide sheet. So when you're on the floor, you are looking for that type of slide sheet. So you will hear feedback from others and say, yeah, we know that is also available for use, but we don't have that. We used to have it before, now they've changed the equipment to this one. So you learn things from others through that way. Now, moving on. Activity 2.2a, literacy, numeracy, and communication skills are necessary for you to carry out the requirements of your role. Often, the skills that you need to use will be very specific to your responsibilities and the service that you work in. Fill in the boxes below to describe how you will use your literacy, numeracy, and communication skills in practice. So number one, I will need to use my literacy skills when I, like reading policies and procedures, documenting reports, even when you report to your line manager. So that's one way. Another one, I will need to use numeracy skills when so numeracy would be more on the time schedule. That's one. So you got scheduling, what time is meal time, and then speaking of meal time, you measure like the drinks, for example, how many milliliters that person is drinking. And obviously if they got catheter, the output as well is being measured. So those are the things. And if you're doing meds, the numeracy skills is also important in there, not only for the timing but the dosage. I will need to use my communication skills when this one, when you are in the shift, you will be communicating to your manager, to the nurses, to the kitchen staff, to the domestic, as well as your colleagues, even with the visitors, delivery person. You will be communicating with everyone, relatives. You will be answering phone when there's a meeting, for example, and then you're the only one available, you're the one on the floor. So communication skills is very important. Activity 2.2b, your current levels of competence, literacy, numeracy, and communication are likely to be very specific to you as an individual. Explain how you would check your current levels of literacy, numeracy, and communication skills. So in order to check your level of competence for your literacy, numeracy, and communication skills, it's either you ask a member of the staff how well you're understanding, and then obviously you got supervision and appraisal. Then your line manager will speak to you about it if you ask them as well. And then during trainings, I'm sure if you attend a training, let's say fire training, moving and handling training, infection control, your trainer will be the first one who will say, oh, think your level of competence in terms of communication or numeracy or literacy, they will gauge you on that one if you are if you can pass the training, because of this is requirement. So the trainer is one way of gauging your literacy, numeracy, and communication skills. Activity 2.2c, 2.2d, and 2.2e. Complete the table below to describe how the different development activities have helped to improve your knowledge, skills, and understanding. So you got development activity, number 1, a learning activity that you have undertaken recently. So it could mean like training, for example. So provide a description of development activity. For example, training, moving and handling. How has it helped to improve your knowledge, learn new skills, techniques to safely maneuver or to assist an individual? How has it helped to improve your skills? So the trainer shared information and let us do practical demonstration of the technique or maneuver. How has it helped to improve your understanding? Then this one is it helped improve my understanding because of the explanation behind why we're doing such technique or maneuver. And obviously with the trainer you can ask as many questions as you like, and that will help you understand more about that training, for example moving and handling. Reflecting on a situation, so provide a description of the development activity. So situation, let's say resident had a fall, that's your situation. How has it helped improve your knowledge? So when you press the alarm emergency buzzer, the nurse came, the nurse take the lead, and while you're observing you learn things from there. It could mean as well fire alarm. So for number 1, provide a description of the development activity. So reflecting on a situation. So the fire alarm went off. How has it helped improve your knowledge? The fire marshal took over, take the lead, explain what's going on, so that improved your knowledge. How has it helped improve your skills? Going back to the falls, obviously you will be helping while the nurse is the one taking the lead. The nurse will say, can you get the machine like hoist, etc. That will improve your skills, that if someone had a fall, I can prepare this, or by just asking you to put a screen. Now with the fire, the fire marshal will allocate people. It doesn't matter if you're not the one that the nurse or the fire marshal picked up to check, but by just standing there and waiting for what is the next step, you are developing your skills by observing. If you were the one that the nurse asked to check for the fire, it's not only one person, they will send maybe 3. Then you develop skills on how to be more keen and observant in assessing what's going on. Is this a real fire, or there's something that they just did, there's fault, etc. So you develop skills on that one. How has it helped to improve your understanding? Now, by doing that with the falls, you now understand, and you can ask questions to the nurse or your senior staff member. Why do we put screen, for example, or why do we need a machine, etc. Then your understanding is improved because you've experienced it. Right, feedback from others, that's the last bit. So provide a description of the development and activity. This one you can ask feedback from your colleagues. How did I do during that falls, or how did I do during that fire alarm? Then how has it helped you improve your knowledge? By getting that feedback, you'll have more knowledge that they would say, oh, you did well, or you need to take the lead, or improve on this one, improve on your communication. Don't just stand, try and volunteer yourself to say, can I help, etc. Now, improve your skills, feedback from others. It means that your communication skills, for example, or your relationship, interpersonal relationship, social skills. This is very good when you're talking about feedback from others. And last, how has it helped to improve your understanding? So with feedback from others, you will now have more knowledge and information that will help you understand more of the situation, not only like what happened with the falls or the fire alarm, but yourself. You'll have more understanding on how to react, how to respond when there's a falls or there's a fire alarm. Okay, you can make up your own answers to this one. That's just a guide. Okay, activity 2.2G part 1. For each of the following, or for each of the learning opportunities below, decide whether each is an example of a formal learning opportunity or an informal one. Tick your option. So you can tick, or some of them, that's the circle. So, annual appraisal with your manager. This one is a formal learning opportunity. So you can tick formal or you can circle it. E-learning courses, so this is also formal, take that one. Watching a documentary, informal. Undertaking a training course, formal. Break time discussion with colleagues, informal. Reading magazine or journal, this one is a bit tricky because there's like nursing journal, or like it looks like magazine, but because you are free to just read it, that's make it informal. It's like a supplementary reference. So if you really want like a formal, like e-learning course, appraisal with your manager, or a proper training course that you're attending. Okay, so the last bit, reading a magazine or journal, is informal. So just few more pages, just check, 2 more. So activity 2.2G part 2, select 3 learning opportunities that are available to you. You could select ones from the list above, so meaning on the part 1, or ones that are specific to you. For each learning opportunity, list how it helped you to improve the way you work. So learning opportunity, and then how it helped you improve the way you work. So training, for example, moving and handling, how it helped improve the way you work. So it improved your skills, knowledge, and understanding about how to safely transfer people or assist people. Another learning opportunity would be this one, care certificate. How it will improve. The care certificate got 15 standards, and it will cover a lot in terms of your job role or your work. So that would be your answer for how it will help you. Another way of saying, for example, if you put care certificate, it helped you understand and avoid errors or abuse in the workplace, because care certificate is designed that way. It's not abuse that is intentional or deliberate. It can be abuse because you don't know that that thing is neglect, or abuse because you lack knowledge and understanding of your job role. That's why the care certificate is there. And then the other learning opportunity is, let's see it in here, appraisal. So appraisal is guiding you on your status in your company, where to improve, and what needs to be done. So when you're doing appraisal, you will have feedback from your manager. How are you doing with your job? But also it gives you opportunity to ask questions. So anything that you don't understand or need help, you just ask them during appraisal. Right, last question, activity 2.2i, continuing professional development or CPD is essential for work in the health and social care sectors. Explain why CPD is important for your own and others' development. So continuing professional development or CPD is like a guide or a map. It means that if you want to reach a certain goal and you got CPD, continuing professional development, that will be your guide. As we said, if you need moving and handling training on your CPD, it will be there. And you got time frame, you got like a tick box that this is done, achieved, finished, or you received certificate for your moving and handling. And then if you want NVQ, you start, for example, NVQ 2, moving on to NVQ 3. Then by doing CPD, there's like a guide for you that, oh, I finished this NVQ, I need to move on to the next NVQ level. Another way of saying CPD as well is being up to date, because there's always like changes in the care, and by doing CPD, you'll know that, oh, this training is already due for update, for refresher. So CPD is a good map or guide which training you need to have for updates, or you haven't done training for food hygiene, for example. So if you don't have this CPD, you might miss out on that one. You'll be working already for a year and you haven't been trained for the food hygiene. With CPD, it's all in there. You can just follow it. Right, that's your personal development standard 2 care certificate.